Welcome to Apex Esports League. I'm JT. Tonight we're live on iRacing for the opening round of the 5-round series for Pagnian Imports GT3 Championship. Tonight we are starting for round 1 at Monza GP. Then we head to Sebring for round 2, Watkins Glen round 3, Silverstone round 4, and then finish up at the Circuit of the Americas. So some fantastic GT3 action ahead over these next 5 weeks. Session details tonight for Monza. We have 10 minutes of practice, weather conditions are clear, and qualifying 10 minutes. Race is 40 minutes. Cars are all capped at 47% fuel at standing starts, and then it restarts a single file with lap cars to the back. We'll check out the standings. We did finish up the Pagnian Imports Supercars Championship, where we saw Cameron Veacock have a solid win on the championship with a good couple hundred points lead there, with 739 on the board. So well done to Cam for that. And then the results for the final last week at Bathurst Mount Panorama. Cam took victory after qualifying second. It scored the fastest lap bonus points, so wrapped up a great win to the end of the sponsor, the championship. So I'll load up the track information. So in Italy for Monza, track length is 5.75 kilometers long. We've got a few cars already loaded up onto there. I think there's about 13 drivers loading in. So we'll cross over trackside now. And we should see a nice selection of GT3 cars out there. Now some drivers are even making their decisions just to try and base it on some variety out there. We'll go through and see just what is seeming to be the weapon of choice. I'm guessing there's probably going to be a fair few that are actually going to be the popular choice of car. I'll bring up some information on the screen now. If you're joining us for the stream, don't forget to hit that follow button. We appreciate the growing support for the league and all our drivers. There's plenty of racing action to see, and do thank you for supporting all the great talent we see out on the track. And we will be jumping on board for a hot lap around Monza. We'll be having Cameron Veacock take us around. Last series we had Ryan Carlson end up taking us for most of the hot laps around. So we're going to be continuing that trend and then opening up to a different driver each round. So it should be some interesting perspectives from different drivers around the track, and try and keep Cam on. Cam, can you take us for a lap around Monza?
No worries. So coming down into the first corner, between the 150 and 100, we're going to hard brake down to gear 1. Oh, I've overshot the brake here actually. Ryan's curse has got me. So coming out there, very, very slow corner. Lots of accidents very early on. You've got to be very careful. So as we come around here, coming out to the next chicane, another very tricky braking section. Looking for the 150 metre board and down to second gear. iRacing hasn't been quite forgiving with the way you can mount these curbs, and depending on the car setup you have is whether they'll actually accept it or not. So we're going up to third, up to fourth, down through I think it's Lesmo 1 and 2. Now very tricky corners to get right. First one's in third gear, second one's in third gear, but it's a little bit harder. Narrows up, gets a lot tighter. They've actually given us a lot more room now, so thank you iRacing for that. It used to be a horrible off track there. I apologise for speaking so fast, it's trying to put a lap down for you. So coming into Ascari is one of those very, very technical sections. So third gear, you can mount the curbs, but be very careful because the car will unsettle. And if you don't get it right, it will damage your car. As we come into the last turn, another tricky section. A lot of people have a lot of issues here with braking and shifting down. So it's the third gear corner, 100 metre mark, down to third gear. Trying to hold nice and tight. If you're on a qualifying lap, you want to hold as narrow as possible, otherwise we're going to try and push as far out to get as much speed as possible.
Beautiful, thanks for taking us around, Cam. Hopefully we didn't put you off too much, but good luck with the qualifying session ahead.
No worries at all. Turn 1 got me a little bit because it caught me off guard, so we'll see how we go in qualifying, but they're... I've done it again.
See that commentator's curse, I'll have to jump off board. You might get the full control back. That camera's just put the weight balance off.
It definitely has. It's done what Ryan did last week at Bathurst, and it's caught me off guard. But no, it should be good. There's been some practice with the guys during the week, and it's been a lot of fun. There's some quick cars out there this time, so
no worries.
Good week.
Good luck.
No worries.
Thank you. There we had Cameron Veacock throwing the old commentator's curse at him. It is rather distracting trying to talk your way through a lap as it's all happening. So there is a lot that you've got to be taking in all that one moment. And you're usually already counting and calling things in your mind as it is. So counting those gear shifts, looking for those brake markers, looking your way through that corner. There's a lot involved. Which is why we don't want to try and interrupt them for their qualifying session. As they've got a lot on the line, especially in this opening round. So there's 25 points up for grabs for that pole position. So we've got 15 drivers loaded in. Seeing a nice bit of a mix, seeing some McLarens, Mercedes, and even some of the team cars as well. Both drivers actually opting for a different car. Looks like BMW M4, I do believe. Shane Ewens. Or was it? I think it's a Porsche. Yeah, we're on board the Porsche with Cameron Veacock. It's like another one there as well by James White. Nathan Peters in the Mercedes AMG. That thing's an absolute roaring beast of an engine as well. Jump on board. You can hear the purr of this motor. This in my headset is absolutely deafening me. So, fantastic car. Another Porsche. Looks like Lamborghini here for Mark Cochran. So there's just 7 minutes 40 remaining for qualifying. Ryan Carlson also opting for the Mercedes. And the drivers are locked in for the same selection of car for the series. So any change in car will actually void any championship points earned in the car. I think that may be Ferrari there for the choice with Blake Urquhart. And it might be a little bit of a lone wolf here with Stephen Banks choosing the Ford GT. It is a lovely car. It is quite the beast to try and tame, however. But if you can get this thing under control, it's going to be an absolute weapon. Looks like another Ferrari for Michael Quain. As is Lucas Burt. Gary Buckland also opting for the Ferrari. A nice scream of the McLaren. We're getting some times on the board. Aaron Veacock sets a 1:47.698 for pole. Second quickest is Stephen Banks. And the pole's just been bumped down. Blake Urquhart comes through. Only just marginally in as well. It's 0.020 difference. Must have been a golden lap for Blake. He brings that car straight back into the pits. We'll make sure we try and cover all our drivers that are in the session. We're still getting a few more load in. So now got 17 registered for the session. I do apologise to any drivers that I may miss as it's all loading in. It's got Daniel Gomes now in the session and out on track. I think, is that the Audi? Sure is it the Porsche? The guys last getting out on track in the GT3s was for our non-streamed race for our second birthday bash on the 29th of April. So I was able to get out on track with the guys. And we battled these GT3s around Bathurst. It was a lot of fun. We do tend to find in the GT3s it usually levels out the playing field a little bit. Especially with the mass amount of variety. Aaron Veacock stole back that pole position. Just under a 10th from Blake's time now. Terrible shot as we cross over the cars in pit lane. If you're joining us on the stream, do jump into the chat. Let us know who you think is going to take the pole position. You think is going to take the win, and whether or not you think there's a certain class out there that may have the upper edge. So we do have the good variety of tracks for the series, so they're all going to have their own advantages on each of the tracks. So we should see a fair bit of change. So it'll make each week equally interesting. We've got Callan Hodgkinson in the session. He's now in pit lane. So 10 drivers setting a qualifying time. There's 2.5 minutes to go. Bradley Morris practicing at pit entry. Let's see if we can get up for a blimp shot. So you can see just how camera was talking about on that hot lap. Let us know about some of the corners that are rather tight. And there's some sections that are much wider as well. And despite pretty much the tracks being laser scanned, there are a lot that people mention. There's some heavy variations in the track still. James White is currently qualified in 5th. He's done a 1:49.3. There, Callan's out on track, running the Ferrari. Running some classic Ferrari liveries as well. And there are a bunch of sound effects controls under the stream as well. Don't forget to use those. Don't cost you any bits or anything to play it. So all you gotta do is just use those controls and it'll play cheers, applauds, boos, all sorts of other fun stuff over the stream. So do have some fun playing around with those. And don't forget to check out our social media links. Down the bottom, we've got our Facebook page where you can stay up to date with all results, standings, and post-race incident reports. So we don't run live race control, however, we do review the replays afterwards for any at-fault incidents and have a post-race penalty system. So a few drivers in the pits now. There's only 10 seconds left, so this will be final laps for qualifying. Corey Brand parking it up, as has Mark Cochran. So it's finished. This will be final laps for these few coming up. They're not going to get another time to lap in. Three drivers yet to get a time on the board. That's Robbie Bradbury, Ryan Carlson and Kellen Hodgkinson. Carlson's on approach to the control line now. Will this get him on the board? It does. It moves him up into 9th position. Not sure if Bradbury's going to have enough time to sneak that lap in. Oh, they did all roll into the qualifying session pretty quickly. Once the countdowns have begun on it, if all drivers return their cars back to the pits, the session will actually load across quicker and then save some server time. So it allows for a little bit more of a hangover. There's a car parked up on the straight there. Robbie Bradbury needs to get a time here. He's parked up. He must have invalidated that lap at some stage. It doesn't look like we're going to have time for Kellen to be able to wrap up a lap. So a fair few drivers now just getting in a little bit of practice. So we'll now bring up those results screens. And then we'll bring up those qualifying results. Cameron Veacock takes the pole in the opening round with 1:47.280. Then we have Blake Urquhart, Stephen Banks, Bradley Morris, James White, Corey Brand, Mark Cochran, Daniel Gomes, Ryan Carlson, Nathan Peters, Lucas Burt, Michael Quain, Shane Newens, Gary Buckland, Philip Buckland, Kellen Hodgkinson, and Robbie Bradbury. He was the only driver who didn't get that time in, just missing out at that back end, so very unfortunate. We got half the grid readying up straight away. Now overlays a little bit confusing as everyone loads into the session, so we'll bring that up as the lights go green. And gearing up, start that opening race to the series. Three drivers to hit that ready button. So I got 45 seconds to grid the car. They'll be starting from that pit lane. Seconds to go. We're waiting on Blake and Callan. Just Callan now. Maybe we can get a bit more. There we go. We might get a nice shot here. There we go. Lights about to go green. We'll start the opening round.
Green flag.
Emma away. A little bit of a delayed start. Few bogging down. Is that a Lamborghini that's darting up around that outside line? Listen to that roar as they take off from the grid. Oh, sounds like some contact through the chicanes. Not too unexpected. 17 cars all trying to squeeze through. Veacock pulls ahead pretty quickly. Got Bradley Morris and Stephen Banks door to door. And that Ford GT hold off to that Porsche. Gets just in front of him. Geez, that's nice and tight. A little bit of movement going on down towards the back end as well. Cameron's still pulling away. He's already got 2.3 seconds over P2. Oh, there's a car. It's just been flipped. It's a huge hit. Not sure who that is. Mike Cochran and Bradley Peters. We're going to quickly go back and see what happened there. That was a spectacular stack. Okay. So it just looks like the two involved only caused a little bit of a spin back across in front of them. I think it was the Lamborghini may have turned back across. We will just have a better look. Get rid of that there. Yeah, that could have gone rather bad. The two gone off track. That's narrowly avoided. Safety car being needed. We're back live again. Karen Veacock still in the lead. Lucky many drivers avoiding that. Bradley and Cochran not requiring a tow, but they've had to bring the car back into the pits, so it's not a costly stop. But pitting this early is going to mean they're still going to need to have to head back into the pits to deal with fuel at a later stage. Well, Shane Ewan's just gone off. I don't think he's just reversed into that car. Plenty of action in these opening laps. Hits that curb, puts that car into a spin, completely destabilizes it. We're on board for that hot lap with Cameron. He did mention those curbs there can easily unstabilize that car. It is really dependent on that car setup, your car type, as to how much you can take that curb. Some it'll just absolutely throw the car to the other side of the track, where some will be able to actually take the curb a little bit more and be able to continue on your way and be able to maintain a bit of speed. Cochran and Morris back out, having used their fast repair to get going. Veacock navigating that first chicane much nicer when we're not on board. Cramping his driving style a little bit with a hot lap. And Stephen Banks being that lone wolf out there in that Ford GT, holding second. But he is keeping a little bit of a gap between Blake Urquhart. Can that Ferrari manage to try and close in on him? I do believe it's a Ferrari. Correct me if I'm wrong, if anyone is. And pick it up. I'm looking at a much smaller screen than probably what most of you are on the live stream itself. We've got Danny Gomes currently up in 4th position. He's 1.8 seconds away from Urquhart. And he's got Carlson in that Mercedes closing it pretty quickly. You can see just how much lift that curb gives. Callan just gets a pass on Nathan Peters. Not sure if he may have slipped a little bit in the corner before and losing that pace. That's then also going to open the door for Michael Quain. He's going to have a good amount of run coming through that section. Oh, and Shane Newland's absolutely flying down in that back corner. Banks still holding that gap. Oh, there's some teetering going on here between Lucas Burt and Gary Buckland. Oh no, he's gone off. We're door to door, I think, in the approach. So now puts him pretty close to Callan. Side to side at the chicanes between Bradbury and Burt. There wasn't a whole lot of room. One of them had to yield. It's Burt giving that position. He's now feeling some big pressure from Hodgkinson. See how much he's caught up on the exit of that corner. I think it's two Ferraris here doing battle. He's hot tight in that draft. There is no room between the two. Go side to side, it's going to be tight. Forces an error out of Burt. A fair bit of position changing going on here. Buckle and Quain sitting pretty tight. Peters seems to be losing that gap to Burt up ahead, and that's going to see Quain and Buckland starting to really put some pressure onto him. He's currently on lap 4. Peacock still holding a nice lead. That gap has started to dwindle. He's down to 3.5 second gap. Previous lap by Peacock a 149.1. Banks has done a 148.5. When talking to Banks last, his car selection was purely just to try and mix up the selection of cars, because it's not a commonly picked car. And if you do ask a lot of people, it doesn't get a lot of good things said about it. It is incredibly hard to handle. I remember when I first got iRacing, one of the first cars I purchased on the list of cars was this Ford GT, and took it for a lap around Bathurst, and that lap did not last long. I could not get any control whatsoever. But for those that can absolutely tame that car, it's going to be a force to be reckoned with in this series. So hopefully a great selection for Banks. He's had a bit of bad luck in the last series. He's in the wrong place, wrong time, getting caught up. He got very close on the podium for the Supercars Championship, and he did miss a round. So he may have been up there to be able to battle Peacock. So can he make it this series and then give him a fight for the championship? It'll be fantastic to see. Oh, a little bit of blinking going on for Gomes. He vanished for a good portion. Oh, look at these four still battling it out. Oh, I think that was a tiny touch. Oh, there's two pretty much simultaneously sliding out. I don't think there was any contact with... Oh, Peters didn't quite gauge that. Having trouble trying to turn that car around. The long nose of the Mercedes, turning circles not that great. I'll try and spin the car around. Even some flip spins in these, unless you got all your buttons to be able to turn the traction control off and other assists. You gotta flick a lot of switches just to be able to quickly flick spin that car around. Absolutely flying in that. So he's a flash of the lights from Cochrane. He's looking to get around here. There we go, got a side-by-side battle between Carlson and Gomes. He's going to give in here. There's not going to be much room. Oh, it's a touch between two. I think they're about equal on the apex. They have to be careful. There's a lot of traffic coming. Gravity takes advantage of it and sneaks up between the two, narrowly avoiding them as they're re-entering the track. They're doing pretty well for 17 cars out on Monza. James White, I think he's gone in for a tow. Not sure if he's end up taking some damage. I can't see any information on the screen where he's had any contact, so it may have just been an off on his own. It's for 27 minutes remaining, another 7 minutes to the halfway point. So we're 7 laps in. Karen Veacock leading in the Porsche 911 GT3R. I think there may have just been an off for Gary Buckland. May have just took a little bit of inside curb. The last corner, the inside curb is actually quite a bit of a gutter, so it doesn't take much to drop off and then really unstabilize that car. Hasn't cost him too much. He comes out right behind Bradley Morris, so they are racing for position. And James White's requiring a tow there. Oh, we can see Urquhart now closing that gap on Banks's GT. Chase them down in the chopper. See if they can outrun that chopper on some out traffic coming from pit lane. Not sure if the other KFC cars are actually all... Yeah, they've all gone for different cars. We got Ferrari for Urquhart, Ford GT for Banks. Can't see James White's car from there. Oh, Corey Brand currently servicing in the pits as well. Spurt. Something closing on the tail of Nathan Peters. Well, looks to go for a move at the chicane. Very game move. It can be spectacular when pulled off. It's likely we could see some more drivers head off into the pits. It should be sufficient to head in and top that car back up to full and be able to last out the remainder of the race. Daniel Gomes being chased down by Ryan Carlson. Look at that. Goes for a move. Side by side to have the inside line advantage. They're going to have to hold lines. You can't slick that car out. And that Mercedes is going to want to slide that tail out a little bit more. That Porsche will hold ground just a tad bit more. Veacock now leading by 6.8 seconds, now on lap 9. Oh, he's made a touch. He may have got a little too close. Listen to that roar from that AMG. Easy on the throttle, recovering especially with some gritty tyres now. I'm not sure who that is passing. That must be Bradley Morris. Mr. James White still in the pits, so it's a very lengthy tow. Hopefully he does have fast repairs checked, otherwise he could be in there for a while, tending to any damage if it's significant enough. Don't forget, don't be shy, jump into that chat. Everyone's awfully quiet on here tonight. Oh, was that some contact? It's Bradley Morrison and Shane Newens were both racing for position at the time. After both having to let Cameron Veacock through under blue flag conditions. Peters and Mark Cochran. Both still looking to fight for that position. Cochran's just ahead now. Lando gets ahead of the AMG. Daniel Gomes blinks out again. Blake Urquhart's been in and pit. We've seen some pretty quick pit stops from some of the drivers, only about 10-second stops. It was a 16-second stop for Blake. And if the drivers are actually opting to change tyres, it's going to be a longer pit stop for them as well. For that is the fact that all the cars are serviced differently. So when they're taking on fuel, it'll actually be done at a separate time compared to that of the tyres. The drivers weren't too hesitant to be able to take on a fresh set of rubber in the supercars. Maybe some issues with chat and getting some message from some people saying that the chat's not on. We may have some Twitch server issues with chat not working, which is probably why everyone's seemingly to be shy. Robbie Bradbury takes position 2 after Stephen Banks heads into the pits, and he's coming out just behind Blake Urquhart. He did have only just a slightly quicker pit stop time. However, it's only 2 tenths different. There we go. So getting messages that you can all actually chat yourselves. However, it's not coming up onto the app where I can see. I can't even actually load up my own stream and preview it, so some weird stuff going on that side. I'll even reboot up this device and see what happens. So I do apologise if I'm not answering any questions that you're throwing up, since I can't see them at the moment. See if there's another way I can bring it up. For some reason, channel's disconnected from chat. I think I am now connected back to the chat, so hopefully I'll be able to see some messages coming up for you now. We've had a heck of a lot of tech issues going on for us last week. Yeah, hopefully I can see your Chat's now loaded up on a different device. I may be able to see it. Yeah, rusty roof. A tree falls in the forest, doesn't make a sound. So, see that now. There we go. Chat functionality is back for myself. I can even see my own message, so it should be fine now. So, I think 3/4 of the way through now. Cameron Veacock not slowing down. He's been in and pit. He's got a 10-second lead over Blake Urquhart now. Banks get that Ford GT back up towards that top end. There, I can see you. Thanks, Mick. Thanks, Rusty Root. Oh, it looked like it may have been Shane Ewan's lap car absolutely fanning it through. I think he's the one that's out there in the BMW by the looks of it. Still trying to keep pace up there with Cameron Veacock. Veacock still hasn't got too much an advantage over Banks. There's not too much in between the two. Just less than a second, and there's some lap traffic coming up. It's car number 16 on the looks there. Actually, it might be position 16. Do forget that we get the position numbers lit up in the windscreens of the cars. That's Philip Buckland. They're now approaching. Banks starting to close that gap a little bit more now. And he's got ample time between himself and position 4, so we can really focus on trying to close that gap, take back that position 2. So Urquhart's going to have to try and get around really quick. And Veacock not having to do much battle tonight. He's gotten away and absolutely flying ahead now. So we're 3/4 of the way through. We're on lap 15. We'll take a look at the quick standings. Oh, James White, you're not sure if he may have retired and actually... So I'm not seeing a counter, so he may actually have given up on the race, and he may even be spotting for one of the other drivers. Usually the car is actually removed out of the pits, I do believe, I'm not sure. But anyway, James White in position 17. So he's only done 5 laps. And we have Philip Buckland in position 16. Shane Ewan's 15th. Gary Buckland 14th. Sorry, I missed one. Lucas Burt in 13th. Ryan Carlson in 12th. Bradley Morris 11th. Mark Cochran in 10th position. Nathan Peters in 9th. Michael Quain 8th. Craig Brand 7th. Cal Hodgkinson in 6th. Up in P5, Daniel Gomes. Robbie Bradbury, P4. Stephen Banks holding 3rd. Blake Urquhart 2nd. And our race leader, Cameron Veacock, and James White just retiring the car out, so he may be in spectator mode now. Hopefully he did use the fast repairs. If he did have huge damage, so his race wasn't done for. So depending on how significant an incident can be, you can be up for 30-40 minutes for a repair. The last quarter of the race now, there's only 8.5 minutes to go. Everyone's been in and pit. Cameron Veacock, our race lead, run lap 17, is led for the full 17 laps. What a nice static view there. The cars come flying around. Nice line through the chicane. I believe he may have the fastest lap of the race. I think it's a 1:48.538 that Veacock's done. Can he start the series with a clean sweep? He's taken the pole. He's in a very good position to be able to take that win. Bentley sound awesome on the stream, but it does. It'd be nice if there was the forward option to be able to go on the project cars. And for all our viewers that are jumping on, we've got more GT3 action during the week. So we've got the opening round for the GT3 challenge on project cars too. So if you hit the follow button, you'll be notified when we go live. We'll be starting from 7:30 PM Australian Eastern Standard Time on Thursday. So hopefully we'll see some more close action as we're seeing here tonight. Alright, starting to space out a little towards this back end. However, they're going to be having some lap traffic to contend with. Screaming along. Oh, it's a big spin for Nathan Peters. What a crash he's had. It's huge damage. Gets car off the track. Push that. That's the wrong side. I want a left front. Left front took a pretty solid hit. Jeez, it's a lot of sound coming out the side of that thing. Trip down pit lane. Wouldn't be surprised if it's a meatball flag given to him to be able to attend to that. Rather unfortunate. So I was looking to do, wanting to jump on board. We got a spare chance. So listening to this pure noise of the Lamborghini Huracan. of Mark Cochran. With 4 minutes remaining, there's a 12.6 second lead on the race now. It's going to be hard to be able to catch up to Veacock now. It's only going to be a catastrophic incident. Could potentially ruin things for Veacock. Urquhart's starting to put some gap between himself and Banks. And there's some lap traffic in between now as well. Shane Newens and Gary Buckland sandwiched between position 2 and 3 now. Actually, I think Blake only just catching up to them now, so they're not all mixed in. And Shane Newens in between. Buckland moves over, as does Newens, but doesn't hold up. Banks next to get through. He doesn't want to get held up here. Buckland and Newens are actually racing for position here, so they don't want to be trying to give up too much speed in anticipation for that, because the other could take pure advantage. So this could get very difficult for Banks. Build the nose, Banks is for GT. It looks like he may actually be dropping off a little bit of pace potentially. Trying to go easy on the car at the moment. So BMW and Ferrari is a little bit quicker. The first portion of the race, that GT did absolutely amazing. A minute 20 left, so that means we're going to see another lap. It's supposed to be white flag. We don't see it on screen. We've only a minute 10 left on the clock, and it's been a minute 48 to do a lap. It's been a pretty tidy race with very minimal incidents from what we've caught. Really did anticipate that we may see the safety car for the opening round, especially that chicane for turn 1 at Monza. It is a huge high incident corner. The majority of people dislike the track completely just because of that chicane. We've even seen a few too wides through there, and they still managed to get through. There we are, 5 seconds left on the clock now. It's a white flag about to be waved. There we are, last lap. Veacock's leading by 13.7 seconds. Look at these two flat out the back. Is that Brian Carlson, I think? The back trying to get around. That's Michael Quain. They're racing for position. Still flashing those lights. He's wanting to get through. He's not a lap car. This is a battle for 10th position. Veacock crosses the line, takes the checkered flag. Looks like it's a clean sweep for the opening round. Blake Urquhart takes second place. Banks happy there, doing some weaving. Takes third position. Good start. The podium wrecking the GT. Oh, you can still hear that crunching going on from Banks. It's always chaos across that control line. And Robbie Bradbury, P4. Nice wide line carrying that speed. Look at all the chaos at the end of pit straight. All drivers trying to get those smoke shows going. My little contact register app is going haywire as everyone's having fun. Gomes takes 9th position. Carlson was in 10th. Gary Bucking in 11th. Shane Newens. Not sure where he's on track. If he's actually crossed the control line or not. Must have Lucas Burt is done and Philip Buckland. I think Newens just getting an extra lap in. And Vcock gets in a lovely victory burnout. Just making that Porsche up nicely. So they'll take us to the results now. I'll get a slightly quieter scene so we can bring those results up. We don't want qualifying results. I will want to get standard results. There we have, after 22 laps around Monza, we have Cameron Vcock take the victory. Then on the podium in P2 is Blake Urquhart and Stephen Banks in P3. And the rest of the standings we have is Robbie Bradbury, Daniel Gomes, Callan Hodgkinson, Corey Brand, Mark Cochran, Bradley Morris, Ryan Carlson, Michael Quain, Gary Buckland, Shane Newens, Nathan Peters, Lucas Burt, Philip Buckland and James White. So we'll crossing over to our podium finishes. So I remember to jump into the podium chat. They're probably too busy doing their burnout, so we will give them a moment. Yeah, crunching going on. There we go, we've got Cameron crossing over into here now. Cameron, congratulations, nice drive.
Thank you very much, JT. A lot of fun. The GT3s are a great car to have a bit of a bash around, though.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely a lot of fun. The Porsche also scared me there a couple of times. So it decided to snap oversteer on me in a couple of corners, and I thought I was going for sure. But yeah, it pulled itself straight. It was a good race.
Yeah, very lucky. That was he had a huge lead, but all it was going to take is this one little bitey response from that Porsche, and it can easily send you off track, and that gap would be gone. So managed to hold on and get through it.
Yeah, 100%. It's unpredictable coming into Parabolica there in the last corner. On one of the corners, I come in and I was sliding all the way around it, and I couldn't get it to stop, and I'm just hoping something's going to happen, or I back out of the throttle and it just stays straight. It's unforgiving once it goes. And I was watching Blake and Steve Banks battle it out there for a while, and I was just watching if I lost it, they were going to be on me, and it was going to be on for young and old.
Yeah, definitely. I think they were sitting there just waiting for that moment. Especially Banks was holding that gap for a good while. That Ford GT holding off for quite a portion of the race. And it wasn't until that pit stop and then coming back out behind Blake. So yeah.
Well, going into the pits, I had a lap car that was just had a really slow pit entry, and got held up behind it without ramming up its backside, and it probably cost me 1 to 2 seconds, I'll say for sure. So it's a bit unfortunate, but
you just
still a good
had
race.
a slightly quicker pit time. So yeah, it was just that journey in that cost you.
Yeah, just before he hit the speed limiter, it was just I think he was going about 60 k's, about 50 meters before the board. So anyway, it was still a good race. I think Cam was always going to be a bit too quick, so I was just trying to hold on and try and keep a bit of pressure on him, and hopefully he made a mistake. And then then when Blake got in front of me, it was not too bad. Once you're in their toe, it's kind of pretty easy to hold in there and hold behind them. But then we came across traffic, and yeah, I think the gap went out to about 1.82 seconds, and once I lost that tyre, it was just too hard to pull in.
Yeah, definitely.
But,
Yeah.
well done, Cam and Blake. It was a good race. Enjoyed that.
Yeah, congrats, Blake.
Yeah,
Nice,
thanks,
solid
mate.
drive there.
Yeah, no, it was quite good. Stuff to start up. Got back to 6, but you know, it is what it is. I haven't started these cars in a long time, so it is what it is. But having a good battle with Stephen is always a bit of a blast. It's a good race to him for third as well. Would have been better there, been up there challenging Cameron, but I think he's too good for this track, so not one of my favourite tracks. But I'll come back for Red Bull and see if I can have a crack at him.
That's the way. That'll be good to see.
Yeah, no, hopefully it'll be a good fight. But yeah, no, it was a good fight with Stephen tonight, so.
Yeah, and a good mix of cars too, so not being dominated by a manufacturer up the front end, so seeing that...
And how good does that Ford sound?
Yeah, it sounds brilliant.
I do have to agree with you, that Ford sound.
Yeah, you can hear it coming. Yeah.
Nah, good driving, boys. Red Bull, I'm going to struggle at. I clip the off tracks there just about every, so I could be in a bit of trouble there with the incident count if I'm not careful.
Well, mate, just think about it this
journeys
week.
down pit lane.
Yeah.
Oh.
You got to think about it though. You got the fastest lap this week, qualifying sitting at the front. So for a bad race, you'd be still sitting at the front. So
Yeah, good
Yeah,
start.
well-
Clean sweep to open, not too bad. So at least it'll make up for any bad run next week.
It was definitely interesting trying to start these from a stationary position though, because you used to driving them in a formation lap or something like that. So trying to get them off the line was very interesting.
Yeah, a few bogged down there. That Lamborghini, I think Mark Cochran was driving it, absolutely smashed several cars off the grid and going up along that inside wall. So it was good to see a little bit of variety going on there.
Oh, definitely, and as I said before, the field of cars having a lot of different manufacturers in there is good. Like, the only real dominant one in there that I can see is Ferrari, but that seems to be most common because it's a nice car to drive.
Yeah, it is a good fan favourite for stability and ample setups out there available to try and get help with too. So
Just a smidge behind the Ford.
Yep, that's it. Yeah, well done for taming that beast. Kudos for getting that GT around and onto the podium. So be the lone wolf out there in it as well. So well done.
Cheers. It was good fun to drive.
Yeah, congrats guys, and look forward to seeing you battle it out at Red Bull.
JT.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
JT.
All
Cheers,
right.
mate.
And with our podium finishes, Cameron Veacock taking that clean sweep for the opening round, so getting off to a good start for the championship. And then Blake Oakart in P2 and Stephen Banks in P3. And then, actually no, I had a Red Bull, so we're a little bit mixed up there. It's Sebring, so I was thinking that, but it's actually we visit Red Bull, I believe, in Project Cars. So Sebring next week, so it will be a very tight race for the guys with the GT3s. It's a fantastic track for that. So I should have clued a little bit more as to what my own schedule is, but I do apologise for that. So Sebring next week into the international version. So fantastic racing. So do hit that follow button if you haven't done so, and then you will be notified when we go live on Thursday for the opening round of the GT3 Challenge on Project Cars 2. So plenty of racing ahead. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Hopefully we get the chat all going nice and fine next week, so I can be able to see what he's shooting through a little earlier than before. I thought I was a little bit silent for quite some time, so thanks for bearing with me on that. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope to see you trackside next time.